textbook definition for classism is prejudice or discrimination based on class. Do you think it has less to do with racism today and more to do with class ultimately? Because we all brought up the point of poor whites, because mostly you associate poverty with colored people. Well, that's absolutely not true, because the number a couple of years ago in terms of people on welfare, it was like 70% white actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So where is classism today in America with the Wall Street movement and everything? Where are we losing the war on classism? Are we making strides?
Itself is just it's a fucking monster.
It really is.
I mean, because not only are you dealing with a group of people who are completely ignored by this country, you're dealing with a group of people who are ignored and still believe that they're one and the same with the rest of the country. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're talking about poor whites still think they're better than poor blacks. Poor whites, for the majority, still think they're better than blacks in general. Poor whites...
Not only blacks, but
poor whites,
include everyone else.
Are voting Republican. They're voting for the party of the rich.
Not me.
I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, in general, at a greater number than poor blacks are. I think that's an actual. I think it's a factual statement.
Because
they're living a lie.
They're living a horrible life.
So it's a sense of delusion intertwined in classism.
It is a delusion, because you keep hoping your rich friend, your friend that invites you over to the house is going to give you a break in your art career or whatever you do. But they're never going to.
No.
They're never, ever going to.
I have to shoot this out from the back room. You're talking about the Walt Disney complex, and we've been programmed.
We were all born to conform.
Yes. We were raised to always want to hope to get the prince, to get the whole basket, cake, cherry on top.
Is that bad though?
It is.
Because you're dying.
You create the crab barrel system.
You give up your family.
Crab barrel.
You give up.
That's exactly what you create.
I would just say that, and this is not like me contradicting, it's just saying that in spite of all that, my opinion still remains. I love America. And that's crazy considering some of the shit that I know. It's crazy some of the shit that I believe. But America still is one of the greatest countries, and currently still is the greatest country on the face of the earth. It's not because of freedom, and we have freedom. A lot of people have freedom. But
I always ask that question. People say that. I'm like, where else have you been? Because I've actually traveled. And I'm not that impressed. I actually want to leave this country. That's just me. I didn't go to Spain, but I've been to Denmark.
You worship the long shot gamble.
We are
and that's true. That's what made this country great.
That's true.
This isn't unoccupied territory we happen to stumble upon. There's a whole fucking civilization here. And we said we're going to go there and just discover it. That's a long shot, and we did it. We took everything and we beat the odds, and the essence of the American dream.
They do it every day. Every day they do that. They take over neighborhoods.
Murder a lot of children.
All right, I'm not saying those things are good.
But are we in love? Are we in love with a dream that doesn't truly exist anymore?
The dream
was in the 1950s.
No, the dream didn't exist after World War II.
Go ahead.
After World War II, even after World War II, if you look what led up to World War II and why World War II happened and why certain people let Hitler do what he did, even though they had the power. They had
but I need him to say something. You can't just say why did World War II happen without saying why did World War II happen.
Well, if you look at the world, how it works, and people hate talking about this because they don't want to say, oh, there's something bigger than me, that if I think that this is real. But why is it real? What does that mean? Then what does that mean for society? Because most people look at the world and they say,
who put Hitler in power?
Who you think? Who you think?
Followers.
We're here.
Who you think?
We're here.
Who you think?
We're here.
Okay. Who benefited from World War II? That's the question. You always have to follow the money.
General Motors.
Right.
This country
Start
is
naming
way
that. You can
NASA.
start naming factions, because anytime anything happens on this planet, know that somebody is benefiting from it.
Yeah.
And because somebody's benefiting from it, that
about
means
something.
it is by design. It is always by design.
That's all I
You
wanted you to clarify.
cannot benefit without, oh, that's just gonna happen, it's gonna help me. No, you planned it so it
Yes.
helps you.
Okay,
Thank
but
you.
on a different level, okay, when the vets came back from World War II, the government, they had no money. They're just vets without.
They gave it all to the Nazis.
Well, they sent them to school. My father sent my father to school, and other people I've spoken to, the World War vets. They took care of the vets back then. People were able to buy houses for a lousy $5,000, $2,000. You know, there was things out there to do where now we could never buy a home. It's outrageously
But
expensive.
the system now is counting on us not to.
No, but there's
Because
never been a system, I mean, since that era in which the middle class could buy.
Right.
Operative word is buy a home, which means you have the capital in hand to
Cash.
give somebody else to buy.
credit.
What
some
changed? Thank
home.
you. I was just about to
No
say that.
credit.
Credit is
And
what changed
and
that.
who let the gates open for credit to happen in such a way? And when you look at that, then you have to start thinking like, okay, this is why Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party have something in common, because it's almost like, God damn it, 10 more years of this shit?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be broke for 10 more years, something is fucked up. And that's where the Tea Party was like, okay, the Tea Party actually started because they hated what Bush did. People don't get it twisted. It's not because Obama, the Tea Party started. The Tea Party started because the Republicans, for the past 8 years, they was like, yo, first president started us in war with us not putting more taxes to pay for it. First president to give.
Unfunded war.
Unfunded war. The first president to give, at the same time, an unprecedented tax break to the top 1%. And then you're going to ask about classism. This is something that's been going on for the past 3 decades.
Thank you.
No, okay.
It's not something
So
that's
how
brand
do we-
new. This
let's-
is a snowball effect.
Let's get to the solution-based part of this discussion. How do we undo 30 years of fucked upness?
You know how? Can I say something? We had our chance in 2008.
And
Not bailing out the
Not
vets.
bailing out the bank.
I was one
And we
before.
missed
I
it.
raised my
Would you
hand.
also
I raised my hand. Do not give them money we do not
They
have.
did the
Don't
same.
give the money back to the money.
Yes.
Thank you.
So would you also say the same for the auto industry?
Yes, that is how
you have
free
to
market
let
works.
them- let them
Which is
figure
the
it.
Fuck
pillar,
up. If
which
you-
is the
if I
pillar.
fuck up on
Why
my
should I have
financing
to foot that bill?
no, if I fuck up on my financing bill, guess what? My lights are off.
Thank you.
That's the reality of real business. Like,
But all the audio industry would have gone overseas.
regardless, it's still going overseas now. China's making all the products that we're using to build the cars here.
Yeah, but the Dodgers still got some people working over there.
It doesn't matter.
But
because
you-
we're purchasing oil from who?
Can't
And then
you-
you need oil to make what?
And we're
Cars.
making
Thank you.
war in the Middle
You
East,
can't
so
do
we
it.
can
There's
take-
no such thing as made in America anymore because you have to go somewhere else and get materials.
And the fact that people want this whole
Yeah.
manufacturing to come back, I'm like, are you serious? If you understand how to be a businessman
You guys
has
don't
one
mention
thing.
this
Is this part of the solution?
One thing a businessman has to do is make a dollar.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's how many dollars he uses to make that dollar. Now, if you want to fix classism, you would have to say the first minimum wage has to go way up.
Yeah.
It has to go way
Yeah.
up.
Somebody live
And
on $7.
It has to match the cost of living.
That's not economically viable.
No, exactly.
And no, I mean, what the way you're proposing to fix classism in the worst possible method to define its ineptness is not economically viable. The classism you're talking about.
It's not.
Why?
Look, I don't know a lot of shit, but I
You know something.
freebase finance. And I freebase the financial history of this country. And the things that you're defining as classism, it's not classism, it's skewed capitalism.
Yes.
When capitalism's skewed, It's when the dream started to defer. And I'm not saying, and I know it's really easy to look at it and say that the American dream never existed. It's not fucking true.
Yeah, that's not true.
This is still one of the best going situations.
But why is it not economically viable?
Well, the reason it's not economically viable is because you're talking about once we stop defining ourselves as an exploited proletariat, and I hate to keep drilling a quote because I hate fucking drilling quotes, but the fact of the matter is we are not temporarily embarrassed millionaires. We're a lower middle, because we're not middle. Middle, the reason that middle class can't just buy a house is because what we're defining as middle class is way under what middle
but
class
there's something that, what I'm getting at with
So you're trying to say our definitions are
but what I'm getting at with what you're saying, the reason why it's not economically viable is because of the way the system is set up today.
The system itself
and the
is
way
fine.
the system is not fine because the system is. Let me finish.
Go ahead, Gail.
The system is based on debt. Which means
this system is not based on
the system is based on debt. There's no ceiling. There's no cap. I can gain as much wealth as I can gain, and I can't hit a roof. When the system was based on gold, there was a ceiling. You could only be but so much.
Hold on.
That's not the system.
I own a business. I own a business,
system.
okay?
Yes.
I own a business here, okay? And I don't have a credit card. Okay? I do everything the old-fashioned way. And you know what? Because the rents in this city have doubled. I went from 7,000 to 10,000 to 12,500 a month. And there's no way I can make that a month. There's no way. I can't afford to hire anybody. I might give somebody minimum wage. Minimum wage? No. You sweep the floor and I'll give you a show maybe. You know? or I'll let you
trade and barter.
Trade and barter. It's like, it's almost like the small businesses are taking many step backs to the way things were done a very long time ago, out of necessity. But that's not classism.
That's the corporatization of capitalism. Capitalism is not corporate. The things you're defining as capitalism are really just corporatism. The current way of going, even without the gold standard, even without it, you don't necessarily need the gold standard. Is it good? Absolutely good. Definitely should have it. 100% should be a gold standard or a fucking platinum standard. Something based on a quantifiable thing. We can say, we have a bucket full of this, so we have this much of this. It's probably good. But you can operate with debt and still be okay.
Bush kept on printing out money.
You can't though, because you can't. Because eventually all you're going to do is accumulate more debt.
George Bush didn't do anything. Presidents only do but so much.
Yes.
I don't lay the blame on the foot of any administration or any political party. I'm not a Democrat nor a Republican. In fact, neither one are either what they claim to be at this point, so it doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is...
That's a strong statement. You don't place the blame at the foot of political parties who actually run...
I don't place the blame at the... Well, put it like this. It's one big game of shirts and skins with rich people. Does it really matter who has an opinion? Does it really matter? If you're getting paid from GM, and I'm getting paid from GE, and at the end of the day we're both beholden to corporate masters, does it really fucking matter who the master is?
Can you at least place the blame at the foot of them overall?
I can place the blame at the foot of who it belongs to, which is the citizens.
Okay. It's up to us.
It's not up to the rich people who we circle jerked into office. It's not up to the foreign bureaucrats and businessmen and big corporations who make a feeding, gorging our debt.
Go buy sneakers and go vote?
It's
those
not,
citizens?
The same citizens are to blame.
I hear what he's saying.
Because when we sit back idly, well, it starts with gun laws. And I'm 100% for slacker gun laws. It starts with, beware of any society that takes away your ability to fight back. Beware of that.
That's how Hitler started.
Beware. It's not just that. Be very aware. Be afraid. I'm afraid.
Arms in this country.
Because when you can't just, and here's what it is. When it comes down to this, and this is the same reason I don't denigrate the citizens, no matter how dumb the choices they make. I know we're a pop culture people on the surface, but we really aren't.
Yeah.
That's just the TV telling us how dumb we are.
Think
about it. We are the average American citizens. This is not an ignorant conversation about the Jersey Shore. This is a real conversation about real
Do
issues.
you really think that there are that many people out there that could?
I
believe it. I believe
people ain't stupid.
Wait, can I?
How much of the public
I guess I'm
is
cynical in that
educated
way.
enough?
No.
How much of the public is educated
I don't
enough?
think.
Raise your hand if you had this conversation with somebody else that you know in your own personal circle.
But listen,
Everybody
at the same
has
time,
had that-
at the same time, taking consideration, and maybe this is just me, taking consideration where we actually are.
In New York.
Thank you. This is a financial city.
So you're trying to say that it would be different if
I think this is just me, for us to see that. But me personally, I'm a little pessimistic about.
you don't see a solution?
I just don't. Well, not even a solution. I just don't see people gravitating towards that. If that happens, I think the media would say it's terrorism in America. You know what I'm saying? And that's my point.
Or
What about the fact that we
or
don't
socialist.
have socialism?
Yeah,
What
we-
about the fact that I just brought that up a minute
Yeah,
ago?
she said
that
that-
we
I mean-
don't have health insurance. Nothing is equal. Nothing is equal.
Do you understand?
No, you're right.
Do you understand?
You're
right.
When you hear,
Hold on,
I'm so sorry.
let go. She's right.
What about the way Canada? You go over the border to Canada, you have a heart attack, you go in the hospital, you're taken care of.
But have you ever seen Canadian news?
I have seen.
It's a big difference. Terrorism is not on their TV all 24/7. What I'm saying is what's going on in this country with the media.
Well,
they are indoctrinating people with the idea of fear.
Well, that's because what you said.
absolutely.
But what you said and what he
And
said.
so when someone makes,
part of the same thing.
it is. I don't disagree with that. So when someone
This
takes
is what
the
she
action
is.
that he's talking about, I think that person who we would deem as a freedom fighter, the guy who did it, and he stood up for
Yeah,
us,
we know.
they would point, they would say, you're a
Nobody-
terrorist.
Yeah, another
And the
American-
majority of the people in America would be like, yes, because they're blind, dumb, and
What do you think?
stupid.
What do you
They are
think?
education.
Well, it's a scale.
Gail is
First of all,
expressing
education.
that
Education. This is my problem with education. Everybody, and I heard this earlier when you guys were talking. In order for education to work, that means charter schools, public schools, private schools all have the same curriculum.
Yes.
Regardless.
That is
yeah.
never going to happen.
No.
Right.
I'm richer than you. Why should my child get the same
Exactly.
prison lunch?
Exactly.
So you're trying to say that Gail,
Lunch has nothing to do with
Well, it's the
No,
same
no,
lunch
no,
they give the
it's-
prisoners.
Like, you
I'm
know.
rich. In this country, I'm rewarded for not being poor. So my kid doesn't have to eat the same
All
lunch
the way
that a prisoner eats because the same people make the same lunch
You
as
even
kids
get tax breaks.
in prison. And
I went to
just to point it out, because I think that's the biggest thing
Big
about it is,
difference.
it's a
When I go-
scale. The reason why you have things over here and things over there, and these two people don't get along, is because of the disparage in the scale. The reason stop and frisk will work in New York City, but it won't work in Austin, Texas, because they're just like, fuck are you doing? You can't go through my pockets. I know my rights. The reason why it works and it doesn't work here, and this may work over here and not work over here, we have more things to distract ourselves with.
there you go.
The reason why
And
Canada,
that's my
and you
point.
can look at Canada and you can say they have this and they don't have that, and this is good. Well, we have a lot of things that Canada doesn't have.
Right. Well, some kind of
And that
mix-up
that
of
may or may
things.
not be a good thing. But the one thing that we have that I think that
No country has.
that people are still very envious of because of its potential
Yes,
is
you
that
can't get.
if you can remove somehow or another, and the only way that I can see as far as a solution, because that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can see that would bring us closer to a solution is we have to get sicker. At the end of the day, black people are still a minority. And even though Spanish people are a growing minority and will be a majority at some point in time, currently the majority of this country is still white.
Yes.
And because the white supremacist notions, and it's not in a bad way like the black thing or the blood or fist thing, but the white supremacist notions that govern and regulate our hopes and dreams as far as a nation are still very much prevalent. You can still do a fucking YouTube video, get 10 million hits and make some money off of it from just being in your living room.
Absolutely.
You can still seek the American dream. We have to lose more.
So you're
In
trying
order
to
for the minimum to get so minimum that even
But
the
in
motherfucker that's
So we
brewing
shouldn't
moonshine in
be
West
able to-
Virginia says
Essentially-
fuck this.
No.
Never. But in the case of
hold on, Perry.
Okay,
Essentially, you're trying to say that it all has to burn for a phoenix of new
Oh,
ideology.
it's already burning. We just need a little bit more.
They won't let it burn.
Well,
They
the
keep
power,
saying
the
it.
They will.
power,
They will.
they won't. They won't. They won't.
They won't. They're going to
Say
change
us.
us.
No. I'm not even talking. Don't even talk about that.
Let's go too far. Let's stay in this
I don't think
spectrum.
that's too far.
No.
Let's stay in this
How
spectrum.
can you
Egypt
have
did it.
this is a better question.
Let's take
How
this
can you
question.
have a
Nuclear
revolt?
weapons?
How can you have a revolt in this day and age when every single person is raised to not fight for themselves?
That's
We
another
are.
one.
And
All right.
that's not true.
Closing
Yeah,
argument. Closing
Okay.
argument all around. Closing argument.
I think that is true. I mean,
Pawn for pawn.
people,
That's
how many people are signing up to go to the military outside of financial gain? I have a friend who joined it because he felt he had no other options.
to get educated, and so we could
That's
get a
it.
job.
But how many people want to go and just outfight? People aren't willing to fight for themselves.
No.
No matter what the cause is. Even if you don't agree with it or not. Even the ones who agree with it, they aren't. Let them boys go out there. People don't want to draft.
No.
They don't want to
That's
fight for
not really
themselves.
that's fighting for something bigger than yourself. When you sign up for an army, you're fighting
that's
for a
But most
country.
people in the
We're
army,
talking
and
about
I
classism.
can.
That has nothing to do with the army.
Classism.
In a way,
think
you
it
know,
does.
joining the army.
I think I'm not saying what it actually does, but the idea
fact
of it.
it's
But you're-
The idea of it is that we're fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for this country. And the majority of people don't. That's something they don't. I don't want to sign up for the military.
I don't want to say.
But if you were fighting for just
If I was
you
fighting
and
for
your
just me and my family, that's different. Me personally, I'm a little pessimistic on
And
that
I
subject.
think-
I don't think
and I
people
think
want to do
my-
that.
my
I think
point-
people would rather just fit in. What do I have to do to make things right?
But subsequently,
You need a check.
subsequently, your solution is that the people have to cultivate some
Here's the
kind of
thing.
fight with
Here's the
themselves.
thing. I think the solution is along the lines of what he said.
Revolt.
I just
Guillotine.
I don't think it can happen. I'm
Revolt.
pessimistic about it. I don't think it'll happen. Not with this generation. I'm
Simpson,
sorry.
you
I
say
think-
raising minimum wage?
No. I think after hearing what Kane said about that, the solution is really accountability. At one point, I'm one of those people, like when something goes wrong around my life, I point to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every single person needs to start doing that. Because when you look at the whole, everybody can say like, okay, I shouldn't have bought those Jordans. I shouldn't have bought that iMac. I shouldn't have bought that iPhone. I shouldn't have bought that new Bentley. I shouldn't have bought that because I didn't need it.
A government
I
should
didn't
be
need it.
accountable.
And we have to start as a people first saying, okay, let me buy what I need. And then let me do something that my
Because
parents
you
did.
know what
my
that-
parents
No.
did.
But he's onto
Save,
something because you'll be
save,
talking with your money.
save,
And that
save.
speaks a hell of a lot out
No,
loud.
you need to deal
People
with.
aren't gonna do
no,
it.
You need to
No.
deal with
But it
your
will work.
personal finances, and when you deal with your personal finances and your checkbook is balanced, you understand me? Where there's not
Put a lot of
more
companies out of
credit.
business.
Exactly. A
Like
lot
I'm
of,
Now,
running this
put a lot of
business.
companies out of business.
There's a
If more
reason why
people go along those
There's a
lines.
reason why Kane was shaking his head also, because there's another part of that equation, and Gail mentioned it. He said an accountable government. Because
the
you're
only
talking
way the
about
government
people.
can be accountable is that the people are accountable to the people who they put into power.
They'll never be accountable.
Disagree. What you're essentially saying is, well, I'm not going to stop giving toothbrushes to prisoners because you choose to make knives out of them and stab yourselves. You need to learn how to coexist within Rikers Island. Come to a communal decision that you think stabbings are bad and stop the raping.
But that's sort of the same
Stop
as that's sort of
forcing yourself on each other.
but that's the same as you saying about the revolt.
Because you're talking about, well,
Revolt is
at
broad.
some point,
It's the same- it's the same- it's the same thing.
at some point, you have got to look to some form of a Capitol building and ask them to please, pretty please, fucking sugar on top. Stop fueling the fire in the engine that's driven by the mercenaries of corporations who are just destroying and devastating us.
But you don't see those
Madison
two as the
Avenue
same thing.
and
Getting
big
the right
business
people in
is what's
politics.
currently running the government.
Granted,
Education.
fact.
But that is not that's not how it's supposed to be.
Education will
No,
put
it's
the right
not.
people in
So
government.
can I ask you a question then? If you currently, not that you are, because you're not, and God bless you, that's a good thing. I used to sell credit cards when I was 17. I know what they do and never had one. If you currently were, let's just call it 35, which is a really conservative number in this day and age, $35,000 in credit card debt.